So it's actually very good that you showed up right at the start here, Crash, so you could see this for yourself. After all the confusion, because now it means if I find it again, I will have to actually call it the crash screen and make it even more confusing and annoying for you. Hello. See if this is working. I need to reset this. There we go. Let's see. So my plan is, because I only have a little bit of time. I have a little bit of time, so I wanted to quickly do this before we finish up this game, which is I want to try and find the last 3 pieces of heart we're missing, because we only are missing 3. But it's a bit of an issue because I don't know where they are. It's possible we need to get them from Gasha Seed, which we have 4 of. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go plant. Got a list up of like the rarity of what you get from Gasha Seeds is decided on where you plant them. I'm gonna try and find a good place to do that. Like, I'm going to go plant seeds in the rarest locations, and then we'll come back to them later and hopefully they'll have... I don't know how many... It's based on how many enemies you kill, I think. So there's 2 places we can get these from. So let's go. The Gordon Mountain first. Which is good because we're near there. I think I roughly know where this one is. Oh, but then after that I'm just going to go through the list of heart pieces and we'll just take all of them. We definitely already have a bunch of them because we're only missing 3. And if one of them's from the tree, which I'm not even sure is true, we might have got the one from the tree. Then Yeah. A lot of them will be empty. Theoretically, there should only be 2. Okay. Oh. This is good luck. Me getting rid of the sword is not good luck. Potion is inside. That's pretty good. Okay, let's plant another one. Plant. And then we want to go to... Where's the other one? Wait, is this even the right one? This isn't even the right one. There's another one on this moon. Interesting. Where is it? That's the one we just went to. Oh, I wonder if it only shows this if I've planted something there. That makes sense. This other one is... I kind of roughly where it is. It's here. Right. So plant this one. And we'll plant one in the ruins, which are...
I'm the champion of this world. I'm the champion of TV, and I'm an
Hi, Pokemon. Thank you for the subscription. Welcome in. This is gonna be a short stream, just so you know. And it might not be that interesting. I'm literally just gonna go down a list and try and find all of the pieces of heart that I'm missing. I figured if I was going to do it anyway, I might as well do it on stream. How are you? How's your Tuesday? I almost said Monday. How's your Tuesday going? Where's this one? This isn't the right place. This isn't the ruins. Wait, is this the ruins? Did it say when we came in? I just didn't pay attention. Oh, oh, the ruins are like up top here, right? I also think there might be one in that cave. That dungeon thing. Let's check in there quickly. Well, we're here. This is not the right time of year. I'm on sick leave this week, migraine, but other than that, nothing to complain. Hope you're doing alright. Oh, migraines are the worst. Hope you feel better soon. Yeah, I'm doing alright. I've only ever had a migraine once, and I didn't know what a migraine was at the time. And I got it in high school, like during PE, because I hurt my wrist, and then my PE teacher told me to run it under cold water. I ran it under cold water, and it gave me a migraine. And I had no idea what a migraine was, and didn't know how to explain what was happening to me, and he was just like, go sit down somewhere. I'm thankfully not prone to them. But yeah, I hope your migraine goes away soon. They are not fun experiences. Okay, this is not where I'll just go, but it's fine. It's fine. I think we can jump down from over here. Maybe not. We might be completely going the wrong way. So many bats. This is fine. We can just do this. Let's jump down from here into here. And I think there's a piece of heart in this one. Oh, we might have already got it. Let me check this list. Heart pieces. Yeah. So there should be one there. So we've already got this one. Which, good to remember. Not give me a choice, got a prescription from some scary sounding painkillers. That's the right choice. Just throw everything at it. Hey Crash, welcome in. Nearly 100% it. Yeah, that's... I figured we're close enough, we might as well try. I mean, we're not going to actually 100% it because I'm not going to go and do all the rings. I don't remember these runes. Oh, this is the runes. I'm an idiot. It's literally marked on the map. I'm not going to go collect all the rings because it's so much luck. Like, most of the rings, the way you get them is by planting these trees. Which obviously I'm doing just now, but I'm hoping to get pieces of hearts from these. Okay, so we've got these. And I'm pretty sure the pieces of heart are the way the seeds grow is you kill enemies. But I don't know how many enemies you have to kill. I don't know what it says on this guide. Let's see. This says after you've cleared 3 or 4 dungeons. That's not accurate. Let me check something else. You get a ring that increases your chance of getting good stuff. Interesting. Interesting. Let's go. Oracle seasons. Gaseous seeds. How long to grow? By defeating 40 enemies. Okay. So we'll basically come back and check these at the end. We can probably defeat 40 enemies in the like half hour I have from knowledge break. So we've planted those. So we have a list of heart pieces. We checked the one at the temple remains. I'm pretty sure we got the one off of Maple, but we should maybe wear the Maple ring just in case. I'm gonna go grab the Maple ring. And then we'll go, we got the one in the graveyard, because I remember getting that one. We got the one in the swamp. Let's go check the one in Eyeglass Lake, because I don't remember that. Monica got morphine to drop under the tongue, no pain, but feeling a bit strange. Glad to hear it sounds like the job. Yeah, morphine's no joke. I don't think I've ever had to be on morphine for anything. But my girlfriend did when she was in hospital for something, and it was a very funny experience. All involved. Let's see. So we want to go to Eyeglass Lake, which is... Oh my god. Try to go here. Let me equip this and... Where are the BB seeds? We'll go south. That's not a cave, right? Unicorn's Cave. Where's Unicorn's Cave? Oh, it's the 5th dungeon. Where's the dungeon? Did the dungeon show up in here? Let's go down. No, let's not go down. Go this way. No, I was right first time. Let's go down. I'm second guessing myself because I don't remember my way around this map already. Get rid of this. Go down this way. Get my cape back out. Oop. There's that. No, that's not right. Let me double check where we're going. There's no map on this, which is annoying. Oh no, we're going the right way. Okay, so... So Unicorn Cave is... Over there. Head to stump near Unicorn's Cave and change the season to summer. So that's this one. Make it summer. Head down twice. Down the stairs and head one more string back up. That's not. Wait, maybe this isn't the right one. Is there another stump over here? Unicorn Cave's like here. Oh, I see. It's here. Right, I don't remember ever coming in here, so we must not have this piece of heart. There's no way. Here we go. Now we only need 2 more. Right, and I realized I should have been killing all those enemies because we need to kill 40 enemies. Oh. Come on, come on. Alright, let's go get Maple's ring. I'm kind of worried that the 2 remaining pieces are random, which would be annoying. We might just need to like grind and kill enemies. Oh hey, speak of the devil. Hey buddy. Oh, no piece of heart. I don't care. I mean, I'll take the seat. Bye. Do I have anything to praise? Nope. So we want the maple ring. We don't need this one. Do we have any other? I feel like there was a... Discovery ring. No. Nah. Don't need any of these. No effective jinxes. That doesn't do anything. First ring. I don't think we need any of these. So we just want the maple ring so that we can encounter Maple more times just in case we haven't got the heart piece from her. I think we have. There's not really any way to check unless like I scrub through all of the VODs, and I'm not gonna do that over my lunch break. Because that'd be silly. Right. Where else we got? We got the one in the graveyard. We got the one in the temple. We got the one in the lake. We got the one in the swamp. I think we got the one on Mount Cuckoo. We got the Moblin's Keep one. We got the Subrosia one. We got the village one. There's two in the Woods of Winter, and there's one in Mount Cuckoo that are the only ones that I'm like, we might not have gotten. I think we did. In which case it's just the random ones. So let's go Mount Cuckoo first because it's the farthest. And it's the one place that there's no goddamn teleport to. I don't know if there's literally no fast travel to here or if I've just never found it. I've like explored all the screens. So I feel like I would have found it. Wait. What's an evil king? It's so hard. Yeah, right. Right, Dimitri ran off. I think... I don't know if you can get your, like... your horn attuned to a different animal after it's attuned to something, but I'm pretty sure you can do stuff in a certain order that lets you get... like, lets you summon Dimitri whenever instead of the bear. Or, the kangaroo instead of the bear. I kinda just fucked up and got easy one. Okay, so that's where the Mount Cuckoo one is. So we've got that one. So let's go to the Woods of Winter. Not that. That might be the closest we have though, actually. Because the woods are... Let's check. We can check this. Woods of Winter. They are... Oh wait, it's down here, right? This is the Woods of Winter. I'm miles off. And there's a tree right there. Woods of Winter, right. So we want to go to Stump in the southeastern corner, 2 screens to the right of Horan Village, change the season to winter and got 1 screen. I think we did this one. Let's check. 2 screens from Horan, so it's all the way down here. Let's kill all these guys because we need everything. There's also there's also another one that I think we've got. Oops. Let's unequip these so I don't do that again. Oh god, not these guys. Right. Kill these guys. Yeah, we might just need to grind. So, it's not there. Wait, is it there? Let's see. In the Woods of Winter, go Stump southeastern corner, change season to winter, got 1 screen, they go left. Oh no, it's not, so it's... Where's the Stump? It's there. I think we did this already. That's not where I meant to equip that. So we want it to be winter. We go across the snow. Go into the cave. There's a piece of heart here. God damn it, that was the witch. We needed that. Okay, so we already got this one as well. That's annoying. So the only other one in the Wood of Winter, I'm 90% sure we already have because it's a really easy one. But we might as well check. Go east, go to the stump, go back left, go up, go right, and go up. Okay. This way. We go up 3 times. And it's... No, that's not right. Where did I go? Up once, right once, up 3 times. Oh, right twice. Okay. So we go this way. This also doesn't seem right. Oh, yeah, this is right. So, there was a piece of heart here. So it must just be the random ones we've got left. Because we've done all the others. Which is a little annoying. But there is something else we can do while killing enemies. Which is... There are 4 strong enemies that we can try and kill. The golden beasts. So, let's see. Where's this? Right, we want to go to the start of the game. We're by the beach that we got our sword on. Let's get the speedy scenes out. So we might go... I don't know where on this beach we want to go, but somewhere on this beach. Come on. Give me a piece of heart. Nope. Yeah, goodbye. God damn, it won't let me leave. Fine. So... Those were not the strong beasts. This is on the western coast. Near the Hero's Cave. Which... This is the Hero's Cave. Which there's nothing in here. This is just where you get a sword. Like it's just near here, it's not in here. Oh, it needs to be spring. Okay. It's a seasonal thing. Where's the nearest tree? Let's be down this way. There's one over the side. Past the pirate ship. Okay. If any of you haven't seen the pirate ship, catch up with yesterday. We did pirate stuff. Do this. Make it spring. Oh god, it's gonna be funny when this thing just like one-shots us or something. I don't know how hard these enemies are, they're just like listed as gold enemies. There's a guy that will give us a ring that makes our sword stronger if we do all them, which seems handy. Might be useful before we go into the last dungeon. So it should be somewhere near here. Oh, here we go. It's this guy. This guy wasn't here before. Let me get my boomerang out, actually. This boomerang's been... Oh, no, never mind. He doesn't give a shit about the boomerang. Let's just keep hitting him. One dead. I don't know how many enemies were killed. Let's go. The next one, which is in the Tarm Ruins in winter. This is the lower part. I don't know if that's this bit that we're in just now. Hey buddy. Come away. Alright, wedge time. Please drop a piece of heart this time. I'll take the ring. I'm not digging through the snow to get a single ruby. Hey, look what we've got though. Piece of heart, okay, so now we're only missing one. I don't know where that Lionel is though. I did lower Tarm Ruins, but I would have thought that would be the lower ruins. Let's quickly see if we can get... Oh, I was going to plan another one, but I guess we don't need it. Because I think there is only one piece of heart we can get from seeds. Each requires of Megashina, seeds planted more difficult. Yeah, there's only one. So I think Maple's the last one we have to get. Does mean we need to keep killing enemies. Oh wait, we can't do this. So it must be there. Let's see, Golden Lionel. Here's the Tarm Ruins. Can be found one screen east of the second tree stump. Okay, so it's further in than I thought it was. Let's go do that. We basically just need to kill things and hope the witch shows up now. It's risky. But we should only have to kill 15 enemies at a time for the witch to show up because we've got this ring on. second tree stump is... I guess across here? Nope, this is like the actual thing. Can we go through this place backwards? I don't want to go through the cave again. Make it summer. I guess actually we should plant another thing here because even if we don't get... Wait, was it not summer? Oh no, it's winter. I need to be winter. Even if I don't get a piece of heart from them, there's still like a handful of really rare rings that would be very useful. I think the best ring in the game, apparently, is one that decreases the amount of damage you take and also increases the amount of damage you do. But it's like very rare. So it would be nice to have. Especially because you can transfer rings between games. So if we find like the really good rings, then we can just send them into Oracle of Ages when we start doing that. The rest of this stuff is just for here. Wait, what? This is... Where's the second tree stump? I'm very confused. Golden Lionel. Will encounter during winter. Appear near the east end of the ruins. Am I just in the wrong place? I forget, it's just like a whole other section of this I'm forgetting about. Nope, this is just an old guy. I'm very lost here. I'm gonna look this up. I remember that. Where did I get to there? We won. I think it's actually over. I don't know if this is marked as the Tarn Ruins, but I think we're in the wrong place. This is just a dungeon. Good. I don't remember how to get back to where we need to go. Alright, maple time. Ugh, still no piece of heart. Yeah. Right. So this way. That doesn't take us anywhere interesting, right? It's just another thing. Just need a map. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. This whole area is considered by the wiki to be the Tarn Ruins, so we're actually way too far into it. We go all the way back here. Killed some like legs. Do this. And we want to go here and make it winter. And then get my boomerang. Although it didn't work in the last one, so who knows. Here we go. Okay, it does work in this one. Let's murder this guy. 2 down. Then we want to go to the Woods of Winter. He is just outside the entrance to Snake's Remains. That should be easier, theoretically. We need to make it autumn. Right, where's Snake's Remains? It's there? Or like right next to it? I think. Yes. Let's go up there, make it autumn. You can also go in here. But I'm pretty sure we did this already. Oh wait, we might not have done this. Because we didn't have the magnet hands yet. I don't think this is a piece of heart though. Is it? No. But hey, I'm not gonna say no to a free ring. I don't know if we're gonna have money to appraise all the rings we're finding. Right, here's the gold moblin. Let's just wail on this guy. And there's only one left. We'll go to the golden Octorok, which is at... where is it? Spill Swamp, southwestern corner. Only encounters in summer. Use a tree stump south of the poison moth's lair. Okay, I actually know where this one is. We're gonna make it summer. This way. I was going to say screw these guys, but actually we do need to we do need to get some kills in. I don't know if this is the best way to go down here, but whatever. We'll end up in the same place. Oh god damn it, that was Maple. Don't know if Maple's thing just like resets if you don't encounter her, but it's fine. Golden up the rock. Come on. Dead. Oh, I don't have any seeds left. Okay, he respawned. That means he wasn't actually dead. Chucking him down a hole doesn't count. Now he's dead. So he shouldn't come back. Okay. Now we need to go talk to the old man. Who is... one screen south of Gnarled Root Dungeon in the summer. Gnarled Root Dungeon being the first dungeon. So we can go back to town. Which is cool, we'll get all these... well, let's not get the Rings of Praise yet, because he will give us a ring. There's no point in... we're going to have to come to that at the end anyway. I would love it though, if Maple would show up, because I'm pretty sure at this point she's the only piece of heart we don't have. Just because that was annoying me. Go up here. Keep going. Right, we'll try and get one more Maple encounter. Is this the right guy? This may not be the right guy. I have nothing more to give. Be on your way. That's not him. During the summer. Oh, we need to make it summer in the last area. So if we make it summer here, the water goes down. Summertime. Okay, let's actually equip the thing I'm trying to equip. Down here, we go into here. This guy should give us a ring. You're worthy of true power, take it. We got a ring. Yay. Don't be tempted to abuse it. He teleported away. Weird, they don't usually do that. Let's kill that guy. There's no Zoras in this game. I just realized. Kinda weird. So let's quickly teleport to... oh, what do I teleport to? Here? I think this is closest. So I go to really killing all these guys. Not this one, right? This is the... this might be close enough. No, it's not. Go this way. Because we want to check. Kill some more stuff. Just because we're probably going to get rings. Go leave you on the lurk. Need to dip. No worries. I assume you're going to be streaming soon, right? You're still streaming today? Come on. God damn it, you're got nothing good for me. Bye, Maple. This is where I wanted to go. We got a ring. And I think there was another one at the Tarm rounds, right? Is that where the two rare ones were? I think I've closed that screen. Let's go back to town, get all these appraised. I'll sit and kill enough enemies to get one more thing, and then we'll call it quits. And breed into our old buddy Crash. Raise this one. Red luck ring. Half damage from spiked floors. I have it already, so I'll buy it for 30 rubies. Nice. I think it's the first duplicate we found. The fist ring. Punch when not equipped. I told you this was a thing. The Moblin ring. Become a Moblin. The red ring. Sword damage ×2. So that's the one we got for killing the 4 golden things. First gen ring. Become something? Okay, well I need to equip that. I don't know what that is. Lists. So let's equip. We want the... What was it? The red ring? Well, we want this as well. What was the one we got? What was the strength one? No damage from small rocks, no damage, no damage, half damage from spiked floors, half damage, is it this one? Get knocked back less. It must just be this one. Ah, here we go, red ring, sword damage ×2. So that'll be useful for boss fights. So what's this turn us into? Oh, it's like in... This is Zelda 1. It's kind of Zelda 2-ish, honestly. It's Zelda 1. That's pretty funny. I don't remember this. That's a fun thing to have in here. Right, let's equip Maple's ring. And we'll go quickly kill some enemies somewhere. Beach is probably fine. We'll kill stuff on the beach. Try and get Maple to show up. Hopefully she'll give us the last piece of heart we need. Hopefully. Go in here. I don't know if this will respawn enemies outside, but we'll find out. It'd be nice if it did. Did it? Oh god. It did. Okay. There's probably a screen that has more enemies than this. Come on. here. Where do you get seeds at some point? Come on. Right, maple time. No piece of heart. Maybe we already got this one. I don't know what one we're missing then. There's no enemies in this cave, right? Oh, it's a fairy cave. That's pretty handy, I guess. I don't think we really... I think we got healed by like one of these fairies in the past. Wait. I'm going to run out of these Pegasus seeds, but that's fine, because we can probably just buy them somewhere. That was maple. So 4 enemies, 5 enemies, 6 enemies. 7, 8. 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We need one more. Oh no, we don't. I must have miscounted by one. No heart piece. Yeah. Alright. Let's see. My lunch is almost over. So I'm going to, of course, do one very quick last go round. There's no enemies in here. Right, well, we didn't find the last piece of heart. We did get the ring that will make us stronger for the last dungeon, which is good. We fought the 4 golden beasts. And we got the ring that lets you turn into the original Link from the first Zelda game. That was maple, I fucked up. So I'm gonna call it there. And send you all on your way to our old buddy. I will see you all next time. I probably won't be streaming again today, but I'll probably stream tomorrow night. And it'll be the end of this. We'll finish Oracle of Seasons. So, see ya.